boys and girls, welcome to the 3D Speed Monza Realistic 5002. It'll be 5,000 laps in 2 seconds. It's very fast. I am very attractive, and with me as always is the man who just funged your token, Michael Magus.
Oh, why am I funging tokens again?
I don't know, it's easy, just right-click, save as.
Ah, I see. But aren't those non-fungible tokens?
They have been funged. Done funged it. It was easy, right-click, save as.
We are here at Monza for the second round of 3D Speed Championship. Fastest race on the calendar. Classic track. Good racing. I don't really have much else to add on that. Unfortunately, the live recording failed of the race. Twice, actually, because the backup failed and the primary failed. So very bad luck. We had to run the race through on the replay mode, which means that some things are going to be a little bit different when we get to the race. But hopefully we'll muddle our way through without the ability to tell who has the ability to pit stop.
I mean, they've all got the ability.
Well, the requirement to pit stop, there we go. The requirements. If you don't know Monza by now, I mean, Byron doesn't, because he's Byron. But if you are a sim racer and you are yet to be familiar with Monza, I don't know what's up with you. It's a pretty simple track. It's 3 chicanes and a couple of curves, and it's probably the most race track in existence, I would think. It or Spa-Francorchamps. As we follow Michael Magus as he tries to improve upon his 20th place on the grid. We got 23 cars here today. And Dan French is currently the man at the front of the pack. That's a new face. I don't believe Dan's ever been on pole before, so go Paul. Go Dan. Dominic Turcotte, Max Simmons, Michael Landry, who's new to the grid, is in 4th place, followed by William Murrah, Silvio Cortese, Mark Sutherland, Marcel Letelier, and an interesting guy in the top 10 here, Connor Constantini in the Bentley, bronze-rated driver in the top 10, along with Neil Sutherland. Very interesting. The Bentleys seem to be doing quite well here today, and we'll see what they can do in the race. And bringing up the rear without a lap time is Robert R. Zumanian, who I believe joined quite late in the session and was unable to get a time in.
Me too.
Maybe. Michael Magus pops up at 18th place with a late run there, overtaking Benjamin Adamian and Ben Schwari. So the season is young here. Neil Sutherland comes in leading the way. The BMW M4 that he's driving has received its first round of BOP, although not too much has been done. And we'll see what the Momofine BMW crew of Sutherland, and Reeder can accomplish. That sounds like a law firm when I say it that way. Really?
Sullivan, Oliver, and Sullivan.
It does remind me of the time Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did the preview for the Super Bowl, talking about various... it was the San Francisco 49er line, whose names I don't remember off the top of my head, but he's like, your quarterback will have to deal with the law offices of Armstead, and goes through the entire offensive line, and Bosa. There is your message that this recording is not the regular Auto Director Spectator review of the race. Thank you, Cole McRae, for making this possible. We'll have no clock, which is a bit lame. And we will also have no indication on who has yet to pit, because you'll see that everybody is shown in the green. They have not done their pit stops. By the way, Max Simmons took the pole position very late.
They have all yet to pit. It's pretty well indicated right there.
It really isn't, because the green means that they have.
But green means stop.
Green does not mean stop. Normally it would be orange. It is green in this case.
Green does mean stop if you're colorblind.
It is unfortunate. But we are getting ready to roll here. We have a long hold here.
Get with the program. So, Mike, now that the bungalows are making it to the Superb Owl, and the 49ers are currently up by 3 over the Rams.
Oh.
Who you got to go to the Superb Owl?
I tend to think the 49ers will go if they are leading at this point.
I don't know.
Which actually you should check out the link I sent to the fight chat where there's a bit where Joe Burrow goes, "I'm so cool I don't even mind that I'm playing for the Bengals." Dan French leading the way with Dominic Turcotte on the front row. Landry in the blue McLaren is there in 4th place. The Porsche of Max Simmons in the mix as well. And it is raining here at Monza. Not an unusual occurrence. We've had wet before here, and it usually just adds to an interesting race. So we wait for the green flag. And it's given, and we are off on the way to Redifilio. Bad start by Dominic Turcotte here early on. Looks like he has bungled it and lost the spot to Max Simmons, and might honestly be under attack from the likes of Landry and William Murrah. Murrah coming up the inside. Murrah with a very good start. The inside row with a huge advantage here with the leader of the outside row getting in there. A little bit of touchy-feely stuff into Primera. One of the McLarens is backwards. I believe that is Zachary Martin, who is facing the wrong way off track. And Max Simmons has gone from 3rd place at the start to the lead, Byron, in the Porsche, in your Golf Porsche colors.
Golf to the front.
Indeed. In 2nd place, it's Dan French. William Murrah up into 3rd. So an excellent work by the inside row, basically. Outside row got boxed up behind Turcotte, who is fighting with Michael Landry over 4th place and has taken that spot back through the Variante Roche as they head through the Lesmo curve. Also in the mix there, it is Cortese, I believe, in the 2nd McLaren in the mix there. As well as Neil Sutherland, Matt Higgs, Marcel Letelier, somebody very off track there. I think that was Ayrton Arsenault in the Audi, who was very off track there. The current championship leader, or the current championship favorite, I would say, for the Bronze Cup. He also is the leader. He did win the bronze race at Barcelona. So we've gone from Spain to Italy. Next up, we are going to Hungary for the Hungaroring. So we're hitting all the areas of like 1800s, 1700s Christianity.
The Hungaro-Slovakia ring?
No, we can't go to the Slovakia ring. It's not in this game. Marcel Letelier in the lone Nissan in the field. This is actually the track where Marcelo made his debut in ESR. So interesting that he would be back here once again. And we have Max Simmons still leading the way for the Porsche North America crew. And it is Dan French, William Murrah, and Dominic Turcotte in the top 4, with the top 5 being rounded up by Michael Landry in the blue McLaren 720. Bad run into Primera from Dominic Turcotte. He gets nudged a little bit by Landry, who gets a little bit of nudge there from Cortese, but nothing really coming of it. John Archie is quite a ways down the list there at 16th place. You don't exactly expect to see him that far back. As we check in with Scott Johnston.
Do you think John Archie has a bunker?
He might have a bunker. Yeah, it looks like we have lost a car at some point. I believe it was Ben Schwari whose car failed on the start line, unfortunately. Silvio Cortese. Still on the tail of Landry with Turcotte ahead of them. That's Matt Higgs in the background there in the Porsche, the Martini Porsche. Connor Constantini, by the way, still hanging on to 9th place, so not off. Oh, Marcel Letelier off the track. That is horrible news for the BMW and for the Nissan crew. One of the BMWs also off the track. I think that was Jeremy Reeder who lost it. There's Letelier falling back through the order. Yeah, the two Sutherlands are still together, so I think that was Reeder who went off track. Father and son fighting over 9th place. And you can see Connor Constantini up in... Oh no! That's one of the McLarens off. I believe that's Benjamin Adamien, who is off there in the Inception Racing liveried car.
Well, I mean, if you'd been wearing Gulf oil, I wouldn't have it.
Well, there is no Gulf oil option for McLaren, so...
Sounds like they're not worth driving then.
Well, Gulf almost always keeps their themselves with the Porsche crew.
Well, I guess then you should just delete all the other cars because they're not worth driving.
Please do not actually take that advice, sir. Firmly, the Porsche is actually the worst new person car in the game.
Kid good scrubs.
Speaking of the Golf Oil card, there's John Archie making his way up into 13th position ahead of Zach Martin. So Martin is recovered from his lap 1 incident, and we didn't see it, but I assume Archie had something similar occur because he is back there. Michael Magus hunting down the Sutherlands into Rajia here. He'll hang around the inside. I was saying Connor Constantini up in 8th place, so it wasn't just qualifying pace. That Bentley has got something in it today. And the bronze driver is making the absolute best of it right now. He's the blue and black BMW with white highlights or Bentley that you see up there ahead of the Beamers. Cliff Hemian trying to get around Simeon Naku. Also Scott Johnston in that bunch, and Marcel Letelier, who is looking to make a recovery. If I was Letelier, I would think possibly about an early pit stop here to get out of this traffic sequence. It probably is not going to work out too well. Also, the tire life of these wets is exceptional, and there is no sign of it of dry weather coming anytime soon.
Don't worry, I've programmed the sun to come out. Actually, 2 suns to dry the track in 18 seconds flat. Of course, so cars will all overheat and explode, but you know.
This is becoming the Tatooine
Correct.
race then, as Marcel Letelier makes the move on Cliff Hemian in the Prestige Bentley. Teaming up with Dominic Turcotte for the 2nd time this season is Cliff Hemian. And ahead, Scott Johnston overtaken by Simeon Naku in the Ferrari. 3 wide into Primera, perhaps here. Johnston, Naku, and Letelier. Who will blink first? And the answer is Scott Johnston is like, no, I don't want to be in the middle of that sandwich. No, thank you. That will allow Letelier up into 16th position. Opens the door for Cliff Hemian as well. Can Hemian get past Johnston here? And the Lamborghini, the lone Lamborghini in the field, trying to defend home turf. As Letelier goes on the attack against Naku into Rajia. And behind them, that is Thomas Waz. In the HMB Bentley, teammates with Connor Constantini.
The Roman guy?
Connor Constantini is Canadian, but I assume he has Italian heritage.
Is he very small? Could he be Constantini tiny?
I don't know. We'll have to ask. He lives kind of close to me, so maybe we can arrange something.
We need to have several bananas to measure him properly.
Indeed. Scott Johnston hanging on to 17th for the time being, but that Lamborghini does not look terribly stable through the Lesmo as well as Curva Grande. And Marcel Letelier has gotten past Simeon Naku up ahead of them. That is 15th place for the Nissan. Who probably doesn't have to take up my advice of going in for the undercut pit stop because he managed to get through all the traffic without particularly a lot of time lost, to be honest. Very nicely done. Next on his list will be Zach Martin as Cliff Hemian drives around the outside of Parabolica and takes 17th place from Scott Johnston.
John Stone. Does he win 15 stone? 13
Maybe.
stone.
Johnston side by side with Hemian trying to get back into it. Surprising that Lamborghini's got such is picking stuff up against the Bentleys on the straight as he is going to cut the first Primera Variante. He'll have to slalom and does come on track ahead of the Bentleys, but I think Hemian is going to get packed past him through Curva Grande here, maybe. Tom Waz going on the attack as well. To Rajia, and it is Waz overtaking Hemian. I did not see that coming. couple of cars must have been in the pits because we got some people drifting back towards the rear. Jeremy Reeder, Benjamin Adamian, Zach Martin all appear to have been in. Speaking of Connor Constantini, he is down to 10th place, having lost out to the two Sutherlands, but is still running in a very solid top 10 position for the HNB team. This would be by far their best result of the season. It's an all-bronze team, so you don't expect a ton from it, but delivering here today. Tom Waz tipping off a little bit there. And he drops back of Cliff Hemian, who has overtaken Scott Johnston, as well as Tom Waz, so good work. And behind him is Jeremy Reeder. Now, I'm less certain if Reeder is pitted now looking at that front end. He may have just picked up damage and sent his way to the back.
Could have also picked up a hitchhiker, who was now killing him from the backseat.
Well, or just the weight of the hitchhiker would obviously interfere with the race capabilities of the car.
That is true. Well, I mean, if you're driving a real car, that won't really affect you. You'd have enough engine power.
I mean, it depends on the size of the hitchhiker.
But I didn't see no Gulf oil on there, so it's probably not a good enough car.
If it was someone of your carriage.
Wow.
Wow. Connor Constantini does not appear to be in 10th place anymore, so he's lost some spots because that's John Archie ahead of him now. There it is, 13th. So he's lost out to Magus, Arsenault, and Archie. So he's drifting back, but still second amongst the bronze cars and having a pretty solid day. I'm surprised. Do you know what TV show that line is from, guys?
Which line was that, sorry?
The a man of your carriage cannot possibly be fitted to our seats.
I do not.
It's a Simpsons line.
Fair enough.
Byron, and we talked about this before, has never seen The Simpsons. But yeah.
I've seen tons and tons of clips and many memes. And I had lots of friends who watched the show a lot and would just recite it to me. And I must have at some point, I'm going to say I probably have watched maybe 5 whole episodes, but that's probably not accurate.
So he still gets my Simpsons lines most of the time.
Correct.
Despite his lack of aggressive move into Parabolica here from Ayrton Arsenault in the WRT Audi team, and gets the job done, at least for now, but minor contact with John Archie in the Porsche North America car. And Archie would like that spot back, I think. Battle for 11th place heating up here.
Whoa, Archie.
As they head down towards the Variante Primera, the first turn of the track.
Sauce?
No, Primera is in first. Primeras? Ooh, Primeras Marines. Don't get me started on those.
They're just big old chunky boys.
Well, Space Marines in general are big old chunky boys.
Correct. Big old generous.
Especially the Salamanders, who are the biggest of the of the Space Marines.
They're grande.
And the darkest.
Wow.
I mean, they're like their skin's like volcano ash.
Correct.
Ayrton Arsenault hanging on for the time being, but John Archie is in hot pursuit, and I wouldn't rule out Connor Constantini yet, as well as Marcel Letelier coming up from behind. Working their way through the Lesmos on the way to Variante Ascari. Max Simmons continues to lead from Dan French, William Murrah, Dominic Turcotte, Silvio Cortese, Matt Higgs. The only change in the top areas of the grid is Michael Landry, I'm not sure which it is, has fallen back to 7th place after having run in 5th.
Michel Landry.
Landry.
Reminder to everybody to go check on your line. After this race.
Indeed. Arsenault still hanging. What do you think about Ayrton Arsenault's very patriotic car there, Byron?
Well, I mean, I'm not really in favor of the Third Reich, but I mean, if he's into it.
It's the American flag, sir.
Oh, Getting harder to tell these days.
It's a very American flag car.
Banning books, all kinds of shit.
Oh, spinning around his Arsenault. Oh, and he clips Constantini.
Oh, dirty.
That'll almost certainly be a penalty.
You go to jail. You go to race jail right now.
Indeed. Jeremy Reeder battling with Scott Johnston. BMW getting beaten by the Lamborghini on this occasion, and Tom Was in the background. Very near contact there from Reeder, and he gets a much better run out of the corner. I have a theory that Scott Johnston, because we've seen this a couple times, that he doesn't launch out of the corners very well, might just be running a bit too high of traction control right now, or a bit too low of an ECU setting. And it's allowing him to kind of get overpowered here as they head into Raja. Johnston going to the inside. That is the advantageous line, but Reeder is going to shut the door and, in fact, open up the door for the Bentley of Tom Was. Not really sure how you open up a door big enough for that Bentley to drive through, but it has been done. That's Reeder into 16th place, Was into 17th.
Here they all come around the corner, 17 wide. Everybody's in first place.
That is the fight for the third step on the bronze podium, by the way, between these three guys right now, as Arsenault and Constantini are up ahead. Arsenault into the pit lane for his mandatory change of tires.
And also a new sprocket.
Well, hopefully not.
2 sprockets per tire.
Looks like Cliff Hemian's been in for service as he is at the back of the back. See, the flags are functioning in this race. Barcelona, there were some problems with the flags, but it looks like everything is correct this time around, as we saw the Tom Was Polish flag there for a moment. Arsenault still in the pit lane. Picking up Scott Johnston. The lone Lamborghini in the field. Not a lot of Italian representation here today. Just 2 Ferraris, that being Simeon Naku and William Murrah. And 1 Lamborghini, that being Scott Johnston.
I have a question, though.
Sure.
I mean, if you're driving one of these Lamborghinis and you're not in, like, 8th gear or whatever, are you even driving it right?
Well, Lamborghinis don't have an 8th gear, so I'd say if you're
What?
driving it in 8th gear, you're
paying all that money, you don't get,
you
like,
got a problem.
8, 9, 20 gears?
Well, having more gears isn't necessarily a good thing.
That's not true.
That just
More
means that you have
gears
shorter
equals
gear.
more
That just
better.
means that you have shorter gear ratios. Jeremy Reeder. Most cars have only 6 gears. There's not a ton that go above it. There are a couple.
I demand 17 gears per gear.
The BMW M4 might have a 7th gear now that I think about it, because the GT4 variant does. So I wonder if the GT3 variant also has a 7th gear.
They should all be geared up. I demand the ability to put
Maybe
each tire
we'll,
in different gears.
Maybe we'll find out here as they head down to the Primera Variante once again here with Jeremy Reeder. We'll see if he... I don't think he'll get to 7th gear if he does, because that's just 6th gear now. We'll slow it down to 2nd or 1st, depending on what he feels like taking the corner at, and it is 1st gear for the BMW. Drive-through penalty for William Murrah. He was on the podium before that, so that's pretty big news. Reeder under pressure from Tom Was. Was is having a pretty solid outing. The field here was like very, very compact in terms of like the gap from first to last. And the lone exception of that actually was Tom Was, who was quite a ways off the back end, but it looks like the wet suits him in that Bentley because he is doing quite well up in 14th place at the moment. Admittedly, pit stop assisted in that regard. Max Simmons is in. Interesting.
I don't believe it.
Byron, Max Simmons is pitting semi-early.
I don't believe it at all.
This is very confusing.
He must be missing half the car.
Maybe. But it looks like he is in now, which will either give the lead to Dominic Turcotte, unless he is coming in as well. Michael Landry has had a problem and appears to be somewhat out of the festivities. He's 3 laps down. So we pick up Cliff Hemian. And in behind Cliff Hemian is Robert Arzumanian. I believe Hemian has just overtaken Robert and will be corrected to 20th place shortly. As the Prestige Bentley team battles with the 905 racers in a couple areas, because Dan French and Dominic Turcotte are the teammates to these two cars, and they are pretty near the front fighting with each other.
Is it true that every time you go in the pits, you get deducted 17 points from your total score?
No.
Why not? It seems like weakness.
Mark
like
Sutherland, who has led the Silver Cup pretty much all day, running in 4th place ahead of Neil Sutherland. Michael Magus in the background there in 6th place. And this is because they have yet to pit. They have been kind of promoted through the ranks. Dominic Turcotte leads from Silvio Cortese and Matt Higgs. There's Cortese trailing Dominic Turcotte. We've not had a Bentley win in this series in some time, so it'd be interesting to see if Turcotte could indeed bring it home.
Is that because they're just too poor and they can't bribe enough people?
I think it's more that we haven't had a serious Bentley presence in a while, but this season we do. We got the Prestige crew, which is Dominic Turcotte and Cliff Hemian. We've got the HMB team, which is Tom Was and Connor Constantini, and we have the solo entry of Boulay Racing's Ben Schwarry.
Boulay, 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 boulay.
Leaders are coming up into traffic now. Maybe want to think about their pit stops soon, because while they have blue flags assisting them here, and people are going to be pretty keen to get out of the way, there is still going to be some time lost that isn't necessarily being lost by the guys who've already been in the pits as they lap Connor Constantini there in the blue Bentley. Next on their list will be Ayrton Arsenault. Those two are fighting over the race win in the bronze category. Simeon Naku also up the way there. Looks like Neil Sutherland's been into the pit lane as he drops through the order. And it looks like Turcotte's going to get a blue flag in between him and Cortese, at least for a little bit, as Ayrton Arsenault checks into the draft through Variante Ascari. And wow! Turcotte did not get anywhere near a good launch out of there, and suddenly Silvio Cortese's in the lead. Did not see that coming.
Revenge.
I don't know what happened there. We didn't get a good look at it. And Arsenault's going to end up overtaking Turcotte, although he'll probably have to he'll just give that spot back because it's a blue flag scenario. But still. And Cortese's like, I'm in the pits now. If he crosses the finish line, he'll actually get a lap led here. Cortese is, of course, the leading factor in the 720 camp, along with Brandon Baker from McLaren, although Baker is absent today because he hates Monza.
He's not the only one.
No, he's not, but he's the only one that was willing to rage quit over the fact that we were at Monza. Dan French has lapped or has overtaken Tom Was. Was is not pitted, French has. That's why that is a battle for position. But it doesn't look like the HMB car put up too much of a fight against the 905 Racers. Those two teams are very linked by historical ownership. Matt Higgs now leads the race in the Martini Porsche. We'll see if he pits this time around. Tom Waz is going to go for another lap.
Was that a was decision?
Tough to call, tough to tell. It depends on how the cars been performing. It looks like he is sliding around a fair bit, so I would think he would want to get in about now, as Dan French and Silvio Cortese, who has just rejoined the race, go side by side through the Primera Variante. This is a battle, I think, for a top 5 position once everything sorts itself out. We'll see what happens. We get on board with Tom Laws to get a view of it, as they are still side by side by Variante Raggia. French has got the inside line. I think the Mercedes will hang on. Oh boy! Cortese going hard for it. Contact, and Cortese gets that. I wonder if that'll end up before the stewards, though, because that did look a little sketchy. We didn't get a great view of it from Waz, but it looked a little questionable, though Cortese going off the track now. And that will allow French and Waz to overtake him and drop him, at least for the time being, to 8th place. Although you can see that something is not quite right with Tom Waz's car. It is sliding all over the place under acceleration. You may want to think higher traction control, a lower ECU, or maybe some fresh tires if indeed it has been a tire issue, although not usually the case in the wet. But he does have to pit anyway, so now would be, I think, a good time to duck out of the combat.
There is no better time than the present.
For most things, yes.
Past.
That's true. Matt Higgs continues to circulate. Doesn't look like he's in the pit lane yet. We're also waiting on Mark Sutherland and John Archie to make their pit stops. Possibly probably Marcel Letelier as well. Tom Waz heads into the pit lane. He'll drop out of the top 10 and be replaced by Michael Magus.
Why would you do that? Just replace him like that? This is like Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I wouldn't want Tom's body, so no.
Wow! I mean, just because he's incredibly
He's
short.
a skinny thing. He's a skinny... No, he's tall. He's tall. He's not tall. He's not you tall, but you're, 6.5 feet tall.
Just because his ears are 5 times the legal average.
Dominic Turcotte in the pit lane as well. Looks like maybe a second pit visit from Turcotte. That is not good. It would suggest that there is a problem. Benjamin Adamien, who is currently in a BMW sandwich here, although one of those cars is coming through to lap him, I do believe. The rear one. That's Reeder in front of him. That's a battle for position. And then behind him, that would be presumably Mark Sutherland, but also possibly Neil Sutherland coming through to lap them. As you can see, the blue flag being positioned there from the marshal. We pick up Neil Sutherland. It is not Neil. He is on his own. Stop-go penalty for Tom Waz. That'll be for speeding in the pit lane. So that's Mark Sutherland, who is caught behind the battle between his teammate Jeremy Reeder and Benjamin Adamien. Just to review blue flags, you're not required to move out of the way. You're just required to be consistent, predictable, and not to defend. I haven't seen anything that looks like defending from Adamien, although I imagine Sutherland probably is a little bit frustrated. Adamien going on the attack against Jeremy Reeder through Lesmo 1. And it looks like he's going to get that done. And now I would say if Reeder is smart, he'll probably let Sutherland through and then try to have Sutherland set up an overtake for him, similar to what we saw earlier on with Cliff Hemian, Scott Johnston, and Tom Waz. But that may not come to be, although Adamien does slide off the track there for a moment. Battle for 15th place between Adamien and Reeder has finally been divorced from second place car of Mark Sutherland. Matt Higgs continues to lead, but still has to pit. Sutherland and John Archie are in the same boat. Marcel Letellier has been in. See if Sutherland goes in this time. Nope, he's going to continue for another lap.
I mean, there's only 2.5 laps left of this entire race. I've been counting. So
There is, at a guess, I'd say we have about 7 left. So Higgs, Sutherland, and Archie all going for the deep run here. Interesting to note that of the 3 Porsche North America cars, the only one that has pitted is Max Simmons. What is that? What is that witchcraft?
I believe this is what we like to refer to as opposite day.
Simmons is the leading car that has pitted. Dan French, Cortese, Neil Sutherland, Michael Magus, William Murrah, Zach Martin, Letellier, Arsenault, Naku, Constantini, Adamian, Reeder, Waz. Waz has to come in again for a stop-go penalty, but he has pitted. Johnston, Hemian, and Arzumian has as well. We have lost Benjamin Schwarry, Dominic Turcotte, and Michael Landry from the race. And Byron, it gives me some joy to say Matt Higgs has come in the pits. And do you see what's next to his name, Byron?
No.
Is the SG30 in the red stop-go penalty for car 69, goodness. Matt Higgs.
Might I recommend not doing what he just did?
Indeed, speeding in the pit lane. It's a bad idea. Simeon Naku on the tail of Ayrton Arsenault, battle for what is 12th at the moment. May turn into something a little bit higher than that. Once Higgs comes in to serve his stop-go penalty, he might end up behind them, to be honest. Let's have a quick look here at the gaps. I suspect he will. Maybe not. Arsenault's about 15 seconds behind Letellier. Higgs might come out just ahead of this once he serves the stop-go. In the background there, it is Connor Constantini. The race has not gone quite as well as Constantini would have liked, obviously. Qualified 9th place, down to 14th now. But he's had a quality run. I think he's definitely shown a lot more than he showed at Barcelona. So that's an improvement for the HMB team. In fact, he is beating his much more experienced teammate Tom Waz, so that in itself is very impressive.
But what if he was beating Tom Waz with Michael Andretti, just like as a weapon?
Oh.
Just clubbing him to death.
That would be very impressive, because Michael Andretti these days is kind of large. That's a big weapon.
Gotta work out.
Gotta work out. Michael Andretti, of course, was in Formula One for a little bit back in 1993.
But now he's racing Formula WD-40.
No. Well, now he's a team owner and actually presides over the Andretti Autosports operation, which is one of the largest North American racing teams right now. Active in IndyCar as well as Formula E at various points of Rallycross as well. And, of course, notably, he was replaced by Mika Hakkinen in 1993, which, is Byron's favorite. You want to win, hire a Finn.
Correct. This is Mika Hakkinen, his cousin Saku Hakkinen Upalung.
As John Archie has come into the pit lane at some point. Ayrton Arsenault hops the curb, takes the shortcut, couldn't make the corner. Matt Higgs has been in for is in for a stop-go penalty. Shown in 10th place, but he is actually going to be behind these guys, I think. We'll see where he pops out. So I was right with my first instinct that he would end up behind this group, because he's probably exiting the pits somewhere in the near future. Mark Sutherland still leads, but he is yet to pit. He is, I believe, the only person who still requires to make a pit stop. Max Simmons in second. Hey, Max Simmons pitted, at a somewhat normal time and is on pace to win this race by 17 seconds. So
I am shocked.
I'm just saying. Oh,
neat.
Get a quick look at the
Whoa.
auto director and some things that are happening in behind the scenes.
Anybody want to freeze frame and see if we can find any naughty things?
Oh. William Murrah runs ahead of Zach Martin and John Archie. 7th, 8th, and 9th place at the moment. Might move up. That is Tom Laws rejoining the field after his penalty in the Bentley. Matt Higgs has still not served his penalty, interestingly enough. It looked like he went in earlier, but...
went in to serve the stop-go, got another stop-go.
It's possible he did. I'm very puzzled, though, because it hasn't gone away, and he definitely, I think, has been in to try to serve it again, because he dropped a bunch of positions. Of course, there's also another explanation, which is he went off the track at some point. Mark Sutherland has been into the pits. That is him actually ahead of William Murrah now, come out in 6th place. Behind Michael Magus. Now, his deep run has not really worked out according to plan, because he was very much the lead silver car, and now that has fallen into the hands of the Audi of Michael Magus, who had a very rough run at Barcelona and is taking a huge comeback run here in 5th place at Monza.
Well, it's kind of your own fault for not bringing me back any chorizo from Barcelona.
Well, my problems in Barcelona was speeding in the pit lane, much like Matt Higgs' problems here today. Looks like Higgs has served his penalty, as it has gone away, and he is shown currently in 15th place. Make that 16th. I think he'll come out ahead of Johnston, I would think, because Johnston was quite a ways back of Reeder.
98th place.
Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. Will he come out ahead of Cliff Hemian? Zach Martin's had a good comeback after spinning on lap 1. He's up to 8th place now, under immense pressure from John Archie. And Marcel Letelier in the Nissan will be, I think, with them relatively shortly. You can see him at the back there in the dark red car. That Nissan is quite strong in the wet around Monza. Higgs has rejoined ahead of Cliff Hemian, so we'll see if he can come back from 17th place here any further, as he is of course, probably you would have to think the money on favorite to win the championship this season, with reigning champion Andrew Warden not around this season. But Neil Sutherland does lead at the moment and runs in 4th place. John Archie going side by side with Zach Martin in the background. Let's see if he can get the job done. We can just see him there in the Porsche with the Gulf oil covering.
Hell yeah!
Let's see if he can get the job done against the black and gold, as Murrah looks for a move on Mark Sutherland that is not presenting itself yet. And in the background, I'd like it the camera could get on the back there, but oh no! Mark Sutherland is sideways on the track and off. That will promote William Murrah to 7th place, or 6th place, pardon me. And also promoted is John Archie ahead of... What happened to Zach Martin? Zach Martin has vanished. Archie is now being trailed by Marcelo Letelier in the Nissan.
R.I.P. Zach Martin.
We have lost the black and gold McLaren 720S of John Archie, or of Zach Martin, as well as the BMW of Mark Sutherland. Tellier looking to go around the outside and get that 7th place off of John Archie. I don't think that's going to work. Inside line and through Primera is definitely much more powerful. And the Porsche will hang on against the Nissan. for the time being. Martin is rejoined about 8 seconds behind these guys in 9th place, and behind him is now Mark Sutherland. So, big upsetting of the apple cart for those cars as well. By the way, interesting fact here, the top 6 cars are each different brands. We got 1 Porsche, 1 Mercedes, 1 McLaren, 1 BMW, 1 Audi, and 1 Ferrari. I think this is happening sometime.
No Datsuns, no deal.
I don't think this is happening sometimes. Of course, we have had the all-conquering Porsche North America team of John Archie, Matt Higgs, and Max Simmons usually at the front of the pack. That has really kind of disrupted things and been quite dominant. Marcel Letelier into the wall. Nissan is not going to like that. Godzilla taking a heavy hit.
To the windows, to the wall.
Matt Higgs, by the way, climbing through the field, battling with Scott Johnson. I believe this may be a new experience for him. Lamborghini on Porsche. The Porsche North America car will forge ahead into 16th place. Next on his list will be Jeremy Reeder. So quick updates on the secondary cups. Silver Cup, Magus leads Martin and Sutherland. And in the Bronze Cup, it is Ayrton Arsenault on the way to a 2nd consecutive victory ahead of Connor Constantini and Jeremy Reeder. Not sure if Higgs is going to be able to make up any more ground. He is 19 seconds back.
That's at least 1 second per lap.
Much more than that, I'd imagine. We should only have 1 or 2 laps remaining in today's race.
So you're saying he should have started catching up earlier?
William Murrah on the tail of Michael Magus, battle for 5th place. Audi v Ferrari. Murrah, of course, had a drive-through penalty earlier. That's the only reason he is behind Magus, I would imagine. And that Ferrari has been the faster of the 2 cars pretty much all throughout this race and qualifying. Side by side, heading into Variante Ascari. And the Ferrari is leaping ahead of the Audi, showing a little bit more in the way of straight line prowess. And he will get the job done. Magus not putting up too much of a fight there.
Like David Fight?
Wrong kind of fight. But David Fight does have a lot of fight in him, so it would work.
Or is it pronounced feet?
I think it's fight. I think I asked him at one point, and he said fight.
Well, we could make a lot of feet jokes.
We could do, but that only works if it's feet.
We just impose our own narrative. And we're the winner! New champion, Max Simmons.
I'm going to assume that we have a winner there. Let me pull up the race app, and we'll have a look.
You don't have race app up already? Unprofessional.
I mean, normally I do, but I didn't think it would be required this time. But I believe we have reached the end of the replay file.
Your winner, Crazy Cortese, followed by Simeon Naku.
Cortese did get a podium, so he did have a good day. But he did not win. Max Simmons appears to have won the day. And again, it looks like Max Simmons went with a unusual pit strategy of not going for the super overcut for a change. And it worked out for him.
Well done.
So checking real quick here with the standings update. It will be Neil Sutherland still leading the way with his 4th place here today. He won at Barcelona to take the championship lead. Max Simmons is in 2nd with today's winner. William Murrah is in 3rd. Then Silvio Cortese with a podium puts him into 4th place. Matt Higgs, who was 2nd coming into the day, fell way down the order to 5th place. John Archie is 6th. Dan French 7th. Marcel Letelier 8th. 9th Zach Martin, and 10th for the DNF'd Dominic Turcotte, who was in 3rd coming into today, slips all the way down to 10th with his DNF. In the silver or in the teams championship, Porsche Motorsports North America, they're leading considerably, 200 points over the 130.53 of Momo Fine Racing, and WRT Audi in third place with 76 points. So you almost have to take second and third place and combine them to get it. As we are checking out Max Simmons doing some victory donuts here on screen. In the bronze category, Ayrton Arsenault has won both rounds. He is ahead of Jeremy Reeder and Scott Johnston. And in the silver category, Zach Martin, who's been runner-up both times, finishing second to Josh McLaughlin at Barcelona and Michael Magus here today, leads the way from Mark Sutherland and Michael Magus in the Silver Cup. Magus is, of course, the reigning champion there. There is no reigning champion in the Bronze Cup because Benjamin Adamien has been promoted to silver after winning the cup last season. Byron, do you have any thoughts before we head on to 3D Speed Hungaroring in 2 weeks' time?
Mersey Dotes and Dozy Dotes and Little Amsy Divey, Kiddly Divey too, wouldn't you?